What is going on, guys? It is Blink here, back with a new guide. So in this guide, I'll be explaining how you can fight off players on top of hilltops inside forts. Also, the V-Bucks giveaway is still going on, so make sure to visit the link in the description to enter. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications as opposed to Amazon gift code in the comments every time I upload. By turning on notifications, you'll have a way better chance of getting here first and redeeming that code. Anyways, guys, let's get to this guide. In this first example, my teammate had rockets, and if your teammate has a rocket launcher, then it won't be too hard to fight players on hilltops. So the moment we got pretty close, my teammate fired off rockets as I kept pushing up. What you want your teammate to do is keep that rocket spam going to not allow your opponents to build up. You basically want to break their build as they try out building you. Now, once I'm close to these opponents, you want to make sure your teammate stops spamming rockets just so you avoid falling to your death. You might not be able to judge it too well, so you have to count on your teammate to know when it's time to stop spamming. Now, you can see as I built up, my opponents were rebuilding their forts, and I was able to take the high ground pretty easily. The situation still works in solos too. If you've got rockets yourself, spam a few at the bottom of the fort and start building up. Don't take the time to reload for that third rocket, because your goal is to destroy your opponent's fort as you're building, so he basically loses height as you're gaining it. Now, I'm actually going to continue this example just as a little bonus. So what if you got the high ground on a mountain? How do you counter players pushing? Well, you'll basically not want to give up the high ground. My teammate was spotting for me as I healed up. The moment my teammates said they were pushing up, I stopped bandaging and started building up for that high ground. I was able to get the high ground, and because of that, I'm able to spot both opponents easily. Damaged one super hard, and when you've damaged an opponent pretty hard, don't expect them to keep pushing. Usually they'll fort up and heal first. So what you want to do is pressure them. And the key is to not drop down too quick. You want to have some sort of intel on the second player before you fully give up the high ground. In this situation, the second player started building up towards us. So that just puts the situation in a 2v1. It was an easy knock for us because his teammate was healing up. So we were looking for the last player and he was somewhere down below. The moment he was spotted, we went for the pressure play as it was a 2v1. So to conclude both situations, rockets and high ground will help. Comboing the rockets to grab the high ground will make it easier. Now, what if you don't have rockets? Well, in this next situation, we built up to these players, and what we'll focus on is proper building to avoid taking damage. So as I built up and got closer to the forts, I made sure to have my walls ready as an opponent peeks. And that's exactly what I saw. If you spotted your opponent, build a wall to block their view on you. You then want to build up with support. They now know you're building up to them, so you want to make sure you're exposing yourself the least amount possible. I also want to mention, the moment I connected my ramp to their fort, I didn't keep running towards the fort because this player can either ramp over me and he's most likely higher to the peak of the ramp. So what that means is he's got the high ground, and when he's got the high ground, he can third person peek me and easily line up a shot without me even knowing it. So as I was saying, right after connecting my ramp, I instantly placed a wall to avoid getting shot. You then want to build up to the right or left and keep repeating as you get higher and keep placing those walls. So I got above my opponent, and what he should have done is walled up and built to the left or right like I did. Now, I want to let you guys know that in my most recent building tips and tricks video, I explained how to execute the 4-wall build up like I did here. So if you haven't checked it out, then make sure to do so, as it will help you get the proper build up going. Now, this last example is if you're inside a fort down below. This example will only work if you're pretty good at sniping. Hitting the shot into your opponent will either grant you the kill or you'll put on some critical damage. Now, in this situation, the last two players were on top of the mountain, so we never had to worry about building to our left and right sides. I actually spread out for my teammate a little, that way my opponent has a harder time looking at both of us. If you've got a duo partner, get him to shoot at your opponent's materials as you line up a shot. Now, in this situation, our opponents ended up peeking and taking shots at my teammate. They never really knew where I was located, and this allowed me to expose myself to line up a shot. Had they knew where I was, they would have been a little more alert. Now, if you've got no duo partner, then what you'll want to do is take a few AR shots at the fort as you jump up and down. You'll then want to quickly switch to your sniper rifle and line up a shot before you even see your opponent. Take a couple AR shots and line up that shot. If the timing is right, then he'll peek right into your shot. Well, guys, that's it for this guide. Hopefully I've helped some people out, and a like and a sub would be greatly appreciated as it does help me out a lot. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll see you on the next one.